Good evening. I'm Don Hudson, and welcome to the 7. Let's get a look at the big 7 stories right now. And topping the list, a middle school student has been arrested for making a threat against school safety. Dr. Reiswick addressing the media this afternoon on the heels of a number of recent school threats, and that is our top story tonight. Today, the Knox County Sheriff's Office telling 6 News as well that its juvenile crimes unit is actively investigating an online threat that has been circulating, naming numerous schools. In fact, just 2 hours ago, the Sheriff's Office announced that a 7th grade girl who is a West Valley student was arrested in connection with the online threat. Now, Superintendent Dr. John Reiswick says that while the district is frustrated that the threats keep happening, schools in the district as a whole, he says, are executing their safety plans. Dr. Reiswick says schools are safe, that his office has been working with Knoxville Police and the Knox County Sheriff's Office, and he goes on to say we can expect to see those organizations step up their presence on school campuses in the days ahead. He also had a message for families.
To monitor your students when you have conversations with them about their social media. A lot of these are coming through social media for us right now. Talk to your students, even if you think your student's not involved, and how serious these false threats are. Because, again, we've just talked about some of the litigation and some of the charges that can be for your students. It's also important too, social media. I mean, again, as a parent of 2 daughters myself, you're not always up on all the latest technology, but have those conversations to the extent you can be involved in that. That's very important for us. And then obviously, if when in doubt, report. And both students and family.
Last week, Knox County Sheriff Tom Spangler, you see him there, had a similar message encouraging parents to check on their kids. Mass threats of violence at schools is now a felony in Tennessee, up from a misdemeanor, and the Sheriff's Office says it will charge anyone who makes school threats to the fullest extent of the law. Our next Big 7 story tonight at 7. The reward is now up to $35,000 for information leading to the capture of a man suspected of shooting at drivers out on I-75. He's been identified as 32-year-old Joseph Couch. We're learning that he actually sent text messages just minutes before opening fire on a rural stretch of I-75 near London, Kentucky on Saturday. That shooting, by the way, injured 5 people. All right, let's check in with On Your Side reporter Molly O'Brien, who's been out in Kentucky all day.
We're now past that 72-hour mark in the search for Joseph Couch. Couch is accused of shooting 5 people near exit 49 off of I-75 in Laurel County, Kentucky. The Kentucky State Police holding a press conference earlier today. Trooper Scotty Pennington telling us there's law enforcement on the ground continuing to clear the woods, as well as helicopters and drones in the sky. Now, the Daniel Boone National Forest has been the focal point of this search. This is the video you're looking at now. During that press conference, Trooper Pennington discussed the terrain, adding to the difficulty in finding Couch. You may remember Couch is accused of shooting 5 people, 2 others injured in a car crash. We're told that a 911 caller said Couch texted her, saying he was going to, quote, kill a lot of people. Law enforcement telling us they believe 20 to 30 rounds were fired. We're told the gun was purchased legally early on Saturday, along with 1,000 rounds of ammunition. On Sunday, authorities did recover a semi-automatic rifle near the highway. Couch's phone was also found, but the battery was taken out. During that press conference, KSP telling us based on the evidence they've collected and the investigation so far, they still believe Couch is in the woods. I spoke with the business owner earlier today who's hoping this ends soon.
As far as today, like day 3, we are seeing more normal. Kind of feel more normal. Like I said, it's a hard normal, but we have returned to our typical morning rush here in the morning. Even though school is closed, at this point, I feel like if anything, it'll draw us more connected as a community to be prepared for these things.
Trooper Pennington adding they still believe, based on their investigation, that Couch acted alone. There is a $35,000 reward for information leading to Couch's arrest. He still should be considered armed and dangerous. In Laurel County, Kentucky, Molly O'Brien, 6 on Your Side.
The charge against the Claiborne County woman who was accused of attacking another woman in a home has now been upgraded to first-degree murder. Joanna Miracle had been charged with attempted first-degree murder, but An arrest warrant obtained by 6 News states that the victim died from her injuries last week, basically 6 days after that attack on Leeds Street in Harrogate. That's why the charge was upgraded. The victim, meanwhile, has also been identified as Tracy Wilder. Miracle remains in custody at the Claiborne County Jail after being caught at the beginning of the month. Her bond, by the way, set at $1 million. A ceremony at the U.S. Capitol today, remembering 13 American service members killed in the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, including a Knoxville native. Staff Sergeant Ryan Knauss was killed a little over 3 years ago while guarding the huge crowds that were gathering outside of that airport in Kabul, with tens of thousands trying to leave the country before the Taliban fighters took over. House Speaker Mike Johnson posthumously awarding the Congressional Gold Medal, Congress's highest civilian honor, to those service members. This comes on the heels of a congressional report put out yesterday laying blame on the Biden administration for mishandling that withdrawal operation. Staff Sergeant Knauss's mother echoing that blame, speaking on Capitol Hill yesterday after the report was released.
Ryan did know he was ready to go back that second time to Afghanistan. What he wasn't ready for was the politics that came with it. In my opinion, the U.S. Embassy in Kabul needed to have been closed July or sooner. When our military leaders were recommending this to them, arrogance by Biden and Wilson, thinking that a U.S. embassy could stay open in a hostile environment with the Taliban taking province after province.
Congressman Tim Burchett was standing with Paula Knauss yesterday. Today, he posted on social media, quote, "He had his whole life in front of him, and it was taken due to incompetence from the Biden-Harris administration." All right, moving on, an investigation into missing money leads to 2 indictments against 2 former Anderson County Emergency and Rescue Squad volunteers. A report from the state says that Jessica and Alex Ridenour, a married couple, knowingly misappropriated at least $35,000 from the Rescue Squad bank account. And they allegedly did it by writing 17 unauthorized checks to Jessica. And the checks were either cashed or deposited into the joint bank account that she shared with Alex. Jessica and Alex resigned from the Rescue Squad in 2022. They were indicted on forgery and theft last week. The state, meanwhile, finding that the Rescue Squad Board of Directors also failed to properly oversee Rescue Squad operations. An update now on the Flint Gap Fire that's been burning in the Smokies for 2 weeks. We are learning it is not contained, and it is actually expected to grow in size. That update comes to us from the Blount County Fire Protection District. And even though the fire is expected to grow, first responders say no buildings are being threatened at this time. However, we're told smoke from the fire will still be visible from areas such as Walland and Happy Valley. Remember, the Flint Gap Fire, by the way, is burning near Hannah Mountain. That is not far from Abrams Fall if you actually need a landmark to get your bearings here. The National Park believes that it was caused by lightning. All right, back here in Knoxville, a small